Welcome to Lake TV's Community Spotlight Show, brought to you by the great folks at COMC, Central Ozarks Medical Center. This is show number 5 in a series with Jeff and Bob Shore. It's called The Shore Family Football Legacy, coming up on 50 years of the Shore family running the Camdenton football program, starting with Bob, then Jeff taking over. And that's where we were in the last show when we were at the end of the show where Jeff, after your playing days, and you won 2 state championships playing for your dad in 86, 87? 86, 87. And then you know, as you do, you go on, you go to college, played in college, you started coaching in Branson, and then had a head coaching offer in Springfield, turned that down to come to Camdenton and coach in the 8th grade, right, for your dad. And that turned out to be a good choice in the long run for you, your family, for everybody.
Oh, fantastic choice for me. Being able to get here and get back home and raise my kids here, and you know, my wife with the stuff she's doing, real estate, all of it together, and being able to be close to my her parents are from Marshfield, Missouri, so it was just a great location for us, and more than anything, it's about family, and then the chance to coach football here was a bonus, and a chance to spend time with him. Who gets to hang out with your dad doing what they want to do, and like he always says, there's different situations of people working together, but he and I have always had that's just always come easy for us. It's never been a problem. And so it's been a real joy. So yeah, it was just a great decision, and said pretty fortunate.
Absolutely, yeah. And so did you guys ever have any problems? Did you guys ever have any big fights or any big disagreements or anything like that?
My feelings on that is what I found is like he's talking about not holding the tight end up and putting the heat on. What I found with coaching staffs, and he'll tell you, I don't chew coaching out and stuff. I found that most coaches, if you give them the responsibility, their own pride of putting a good product in their area, they're all head coaches. They're the head secondary coach or the head DN coach or the head offensive line coach, and they're responsible, and then you coordinate that together. Coaching is teaching. It's the epitome of teaching. It's team teaching.
Yeah.
It's having pre-test and post-test. It's doing film work. It's, by example, motivating speakers, whatever it might be. It's teaching, and to get the very best out of someone that you probably thinks he's better than what he thinks he is.
You're right.
And the same way with coaches. And it's just like the situation, okay, if you really believe that, if that's what you're convinced of, then do it. But if it doesn't work, it's your ass.
Absolutely. That's when he starts sweating, right?
You're going to have to be accountable for it. But if you believe in it, then do it.
Yeah.
I'll go that route with you as assistant coach.
Yeah.
You want to blitz? I'm a little bit on the bubble. I'm not too sure I want to blitz right now. Maybe, I've watched all the film and they may run a screen. But hey, if you're convinced, I'll go with it. But you're going to be accountable.
Yeah, absolutely. So and you told us a little bit in the last show of how the transition started when you decided to leave and you took over. When did that happen?
It was 2011.
2011.
2011, and basically, I just got back hoping to coach with them for a couple of years and learn and be here and coach for the Lakers, and those kind of things. And he ended up going. I got back in '96, so he went all the way till 2010. So we were just down at the track one day watching track practice, and he says, "Hey, you ready?" And I said, "Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, nobody else is going to want the job. He wants to replace a guy that's won 367 games. I've said this before. You can't put that in perspective. You go 30. You think about coaching now, and you want to equal Bob Shore's record. You would have to go 36 years without a loss. Wow. And you still don't equal it. So, that's a pretty big shoes to fill. So. But it was a great thing. We had a great coaching staff, so it wasn't as it was extremely difficult, but it wasn't as daunting as you would think. We had a bunch of guys that it didn't just fall upon me, I guess you would say. It ultimately does on the head coach, but but I had a lot of guys that I go way back with that, that I knew were, no matter what happened, were going to be in it. And we started that first year. We were 2-5 to start out, and we'd go downtown and Walmart, and they'd say, "Hey, what's your dad have to say about it? What's his advice?" I'd say, "He didn't have any advice. He's never been that bad before. He'd never been 2-5. He can't tell me anything." But it was a great year, and we rallied. Had a great bunch of kids that stuck together and coaches, and rallied and came back and won the district title, went all the way to the state quarterfinals, and that was just a really special year. And that was the first year, So,
yeah.
And those guys, I owe a lot to those guys that stuck together and did that, the coaches, and so that kind of put us on our way. And we haven't been as successful as he's been, but when he was there. But we've done a pretty good job. We've kept it upright, and our kids play hard, and it's been a pretty good deal. So, I've enjoyed it. There's a big difference between, I think, the mental aspect. I don't know how and any guy that's been responsible for stuff or been a head coach out there or head of business or whatever, I'm not sure how they, I don't know if he can figure out how to answer that. His flip phone.
What do they call those, bugs or something like that?
Yeah. So, but it takes up a lot more mental capacity. When I was coaching for him, he just kind of takes all that on his shoulders and goes.
Yeah.
You can kind of leave it, but that's, I think, the difference in being the head coach and assistant coach. So,
what was
It's been good. Been fortunate.
Was it hard though? I mean, taking over for a legend, a guy that won 360 games or whatever, big shoes to fill. Did you ever wake up with night sweats, going, "What the heck am I doing?"
That's a great question, and I feel like I didn't. And the reason for that is because, like I said, I had great guys around me.
Yeah.
That wanted to compete, and I've always had a belief that we can win.
Yeah.
I've always believed that. And so that didn't bother me as much, and I felt like I was the only guy that could do it, not because of my abilities, but just because, he's my hero, and there's no, he's the best,
Yeah.
and I don't have to live up to that. I don't know if you understand that.
Sure.
So there never was a competition there for me, so I never really felt that. So, it was a really perfect scenario for me to do it, and so, like I said, I got really lucky to have a bunch of good coaches and players that, really stuck in there, and really good guys that really, the Laker way did it right.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is the Shore Family Football Legacy, show number 5 of many, and we're talking about when Jeff took over for Bob with the Lakers in 2011. We'll have more on that right after this. At COMC, your health is our mission. Central Ozarks Medical Center is growing in our community with a new dental location to serve you in Eldon and a new location in Lorry. COMC also makes your children a priority with a mobile dental unit serving schools in rural areas where access can be a challenge. COMC also offers OBGYN, sports medicine, pediatric, and behavioral health care. Get more info on how COMC can help you at centralozarks.org. COMC, where your health is our mission. Welcome back to Lake TV's Community Spotlight Show. This is show number 5 in the Shore Family Football Legacy, talking about 50 years of the Shores running the Camdenton football program. And so when we took that break, we were talking about you taking over for your dad and the pressure. How hard was it to step down after so many years, Bob, or was it a relief?
Oh, no, it wasn't a relief at all. I could have coached forever.
Yeah.
I love to do it all over again.
Yeah.
It's what I love doing. I had a situation there. My wife Marilyn wasn't doing real well physically. She's had some surgeries, and that was a little stressful because I was, time factor. I was gone away, and so I just kind of waited all. I didn't want out of coaching, no question about that. But I've done it 43 years. And I felt more comfortable doing that, getting out And so I get out and I miss it. I didn't get cheated much. I got 43 years.
Yeah, you got a pretty good run there.
I can't go too wrong, and I might just like it. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. But there's a time. When you just know it's time. I guess.
But I was kind of that way, but I never had a relief feeling. Coaching never gave me. I slept good on Thursday night before a Friday game.
Yeah.
Because my work was done and my enjoyment was starting.
Yeah.
I was prepared. I knew exactly what we were going to attempt to do and what we were going to attempt to do if we couldn't do that.
Right.
And what we might resort to.
That is so cool, and I think it's rare. Do you have that ability too? Do you have a hard time sleeping on Thursday nights?
No, I love games. I could play a game every day, so that's not a problem for me. I do like that.
I will say, I did have some tough Thursday nights on that old grass field, that mud hole we had.
Yeah.
If the clouds from the southwest started coming up,
Yeah.
I was up checking all night.
And we're talking this Bob Shore Stadium, right? The
Yeah,
job
but
before turf.
once we got the turf,
Yeah, that made a big
let it rain, you know.
And we've been there for some rain on Lake TV.
I will
yeah.
say this about these guys. I've often told these young coaches, you know, that there's two kinds of coaches. Those kind that Jeff is and Parr is and Sean Machino and those guys, they're great. They are great guys and they're great coaches and they're good for kids and they're good for the school and good for the community. They're lucky to have those guys.
Yeah.
And I know those guys well, all of them. Tim McDuffie gives all his time free, but the kind that work here because that's where they live. Mm-hmm. And the kind like me, I lived here because this is where I worked. Mm-hmm. And the guys that work here and coach here because this is where they live, they're not wanting to go anywhere else. They love it here.
But you know, that's part of what makes the lake so special is it's not just some random community in the middle of nowhere. It's the Lake of the Ozarks. And it's cool to be here, right?
Pretty unique.
Yeah, it
Pretty
really
unique
is.
place.
Yeah, whether it be a football coach or a TV station or whatever, it is unique to be here.
And I think that's why we have so many guys that come back here and coach or people that live here is it. Like I said, I've got the unique perspective of playing here and growing up here and then coaching here because it's not like any other place. There's certain intricacies that, and certain quirks about it that make it a little difficult if you're not used to it or know it. You got guys that live 40 miles from school. I mean,
yeah.
2-day practice is hard to get here, You've got guys that work in the summer that have to work in the summer. You get lost on these lake roads in the summer and it's hard to get them in, but you got to you understand that and you realize what you're dealing with, and then you try to tailor what you do to make the best for your kids and your community, and try to fit in to what it is. And it takes a unique perspective. I mean, if you got an outsider to come in here that had never coached football, had been in more of a town where people only live a few miles away from the school district, it's different. So it takes a little special ability.
Sometimes people that are hiring in this profession of education, in my world, coaching, where you're looking out here at what makes a good job before you apply. Mm-hmm. And I'm retired now. I've been offered some good jobs, much better paying jobs than one I got. So why didn't you leave, and so forth. So I'm entrenched here, my kids, grandkids and stuff and so on. And it's a good place. But some of the places that make this a wonderful place to live make it a very difficult place to coach.
Interesting.
Obviously, if the lake dried up, we're not going to have a football team, right? But the lake itself is one of the things, and 365, almost 400 square miles of school district.
Yeah.
Some of the schools we play, the farthest person that lives away is 10 miles. You look at Joplin, Webb City on one side, and Neosho on the other, Carl Junction, and 2,200 students.
Yeah.
Football is a game of numbers.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be the second smallest school in a 10-team conference, and one of the smallest 5As, 5 students away from 4A, 5 over the line. When you coach, and by the way, who wants to come in and talk about these coaches? Who wants to come in and coach the Camden Lakers with my coaches? Well, a comment was made by me that said, well, I think your coaching staff's wonderful. Yes, they are. There's no question about it, as good as it gets. But when you come in somewhere and you sit there and say, here's what we're going to do, and they say, we've never done that before.
Yeah.
You wish, by damn, that's what we're going to do now.
Yeah.
Well, we've been pretty good. Difficult. You don't want to follow that situation, whenever you're looking for a job.
Yeah.
You rather take somebody who's a big school in the conference and a little down and haven't done all that well.
Absolutely.
Hard to follow. And that's what you have to understand. I mean, this football, when you start to think about it, is just like the guy said, it's a very simple deal. It can get complex, just like math. 2 and 2 is 4, but it can get into algebra. But it's kind of like the guy said, I've always liked felt about our coaching staff. Back from where I was young when it came from, the definition, I felt this was very true about Jim and Mike and our coaching staff. Of a good coach is a guy that can take his'n and beat your'n and take your'n and beat his'n.
There you go. The Dizzy D.
There you
right?
go.
There
It's
you
a pretty
go.
simple game. A guy that can do that, but how do you do that?
So this is the Shore Family Football Legacy Show number 5, and with plenty more to come, Jeff and Bob Shore. Be looking for our next show with these two guys, because we'll get more of this. It is just absolute greatness. Thank you for joining us here on the Lake TV Community Spotlight Show.